I welcome you all to my channel Happy Learning. In this video, we will see the history lesson, section 2, chapter 4, Forest Society and Colonialism, part 1. What are we going to see? Here, I have given the complete picture of this lesson, wherein we will see the forest, a brief introduction, and why deforestation. In deforestation, we will see the cause of deforestation in detail, which are land to be improved, sleepers on the track, plantation. Forest, a brief introduction. We get diversified products from forests like paper, desks and tables, doors and windows, spices in the food, gum, honey, coffee and tea, rubber, oils in chocolates, herbs and roots, bamboo, wood for fuel, grass, charcoal, packaging items, fruits, animals, birds, flowers, and many more. In Amazon forest or Western Ghats, we will see 500 species in one forest patch. Lot of this diversity is fast disappearing now. This is because of industrialization. The period of industrialization 1700 to 1995 cleared 13.9 million square kilometer, which is 9.3% of world's total area, for industrial uses, cultivation, pastures and fuel wood. Why deforestation? Disappearance of forests is nothing but deforestation. This is not a recent problem. This process began many centuries before. Under colonial rule, it was systematic and extensive. Some of the causes of deforestation in India. Number 1, land to be improved. To manage the food for the growing population, the land has to be improved. Number 2, sleepers on the track. Sleepers are used for building railways. Number 3, plantations. We will see more details about these topics in the upcoming session. Land to be improved. India's land was under cultivation. In 1600, it was 1/6 of the total mass. Now, it has gone up to about half. As population increased over centuries, demand for food went up. Peasants extended the boundaries of cultivation by clearing the forests and breaking new lands. In the colonial period, cultivation expanded rapidly for a variety of reasons. Number 1, the British directly encouraged the production of the commercial crops like jute, sugar, wheat and cotton. Number 2, demand for the crops increased in the 19th century Europe because food grains needed to feed the growing urban there, and the raw materials were required for industrial production. In the early 19th century, the colonial state thought forests were unproductive. It was considered that if the forests were brought under cultivation, the land could yield agriculture products and revenue and enhance the income of the state. Between 1820 and 1920, the cultivation area rose by 6.7 million hectares. Expansion of the cultivation is seen as a sign of progress, but we should not forget that for land to be brought under the plough, forests have to be cleared. Next, we will move on to the next cause, sleepers on the tracks. First, we will see how the timber supply impacted building ships. Early 19th century, oak forests in England were disappearing, and this created a problem of timber supply for Royal Navy, as ships cannot be built without a regular supply of strong and durable timber. So, in 1820, search parties were sent to India to explore forest resources here. Then, within a decade, trees were being felled on a massive scale and vast quantities of timber were exported from India. Now we will see how sleepers were required for building railway tracks. Since 1850, spread of railways created a new demand. Railways were essential for colonial trade and for the movement of imperial troops. To run locomotives, wood was needed as a fuel, and to lay railway lines, sleepers were essential to hold the tracks together. Each mile of track required 1762 to 2000 sleepers. From the 1860s, the railway network expanded rapidly. In 1890, 25,000 kilometers of the track had been laid, and in 1946, it had increased to over 765,000 kilometers. As railway tracks spread through India, larger and larger number of trees were felled. In early 1950s, in the Madras Presidency alone, 35,000 trees were being cut annually for sleepers. Government gave out contracts to individuals to supply the required quantities, where the contractors began cutting trees indiscriminately. Forests around the railway tracks fast started disappearing. Now we will see how plantation impacted the forests. Large areas of natural forests were also cleared to make way for planting tea, coffee and rubber. This is especially to meet Europe's growing need for these commodities. And colonial government took over the forests. They gave vast area to Europe planters at cheap rates. These areas were then enclosed and cleared to plant tea and coffee.